Right, today for Scratch we're going to look at how to make a mouse follow game, ideal for Key Stage 1. This is a very simple example, one we call Give the Dog a Bone, where you basically have to control the dog along the path so he doesn't get on the grass and get to his bone. If it doesn't work, it goes back to the beginning. Similar, in some respects, to the car race game. I'm going to show you how to make this fairly straightforward game. So the first thing I'm going to do, as normal, I'm going to open up Scratch, bring it in, just going to start a new session, and once again I'm going to delete the cat. We always seem to delete the cat, don't we? And then I'm going to insert a sprite. I can draw one. I'm going to duplicate the dog one I just showed you. I'm going to put a dog in. Once again, far too big. So I'm going to go to the costumes, edit the costume. I'm going to make it small. And it is important to make the sprite quite small, because whatever the track you've got to put it on, it has to be able to go along the track. That might be a little bit too small, but I can always edit that quite easily. I can just make it one size bigger. Okay. So there we go. There's my dog. I'm going to do a very, very simple stage. Just do a green background, and I'm going to do a brown path. Use the pen tool and start doing my path. Now that pen's probably big enough for that dog. Looking at it, if it isn't, we can always go back and test it later. That's the beauty of this. Just gonna do a sort of very simple path, and I'm also going to draw a bone at the end because he's got to get something. So I'm just going to do a white bone. I'm going to do a much smaller pen, and this is my brilliant artistic ability. I'll work here. A nice bit of white, and then I can fill it. There's the bone. Okay, I'm going to click OK, and there's a very simple level. The first thing I'm going to do for our sprite is set his start position. So I'm going to get him in the right place. I'm going to do when clicked, I want him to go to where he is currently. Again, which is a good trick I showed you earlier, that the dog back to his direction, and he's going to go to here. Okay, so that's going to be his starting point. Okay. Now we need to get him to move, and this is about using the mouse to move him. So again, I need to get my when clicked. This is going to start, and what we're going to do, we're going to use this tool, which is points towards the mouse pointer, and then I'm going to get him to move a certain amount of distance. Now if I do this, okay, nothing at the minute, he just points towards the mouse. And the reason why that is because I haven't put a forever command, because he's continually doing it. So I'll do this. If I then push stop and start, he's currently following around quite quickly. If he ever gets to it, he sort of has a little spaz attack. But if you keep ahead of him, but this is not appropriate. There is no way you can actually do a game like this. Just sort of a bit of fun to show what does happen. I'm going to stop that. What I need to do, I need to add in actually two other things. That I want this to happen if the mouse pointer, the mouse is actually pushed down. You can actually get rid of that forever, so it can be a much more simpler command. Now if I click stop and play, he now will only do when I click. He is doing it very quickly though, still. And that's just a matter of speed. So if I make him only move one step, then I can actually just hold down the mouse and he goes to where we want him to. Okay? So that's fairly straightforward. Now notice he's rotating around quite bizarrely. That's because of course I've set his rotation slightly wrong. I only want him to be left and right, and then it looks a bit better in terms of his moving. If I do it like this, he does do this, but then you can make him go upside down and left and right. That's a personal choice. I prefer it like this to make it actually look a little bit better. But then again, he goes upside down. Right. So that's that. So I've got my basic game started. I push the green flag. He starts off, and then he will follow the dog along. Now we need to put in how we win and how we lose. which is exactly the same as if you watch the car video in exactly the same way. When pressed, where are we? I want this to happen if, and the sensing will be if the sprite touches the green. I want it to say bad boy, back on the path. Make that say for 2 seconds, and then I want him to reset back to here. So the simplest thing is to copy, duplicate that, and this should work straight away. Just test it. So I'm just gonna use keyboard. There's another problem I've done, which I'm sure people watching this are going, oh, you've got to do this, and it of course is purposeful. I forgot to put my throw command in, otherwise it only happens once. Okay, to know something's running, that white box around the outside is telling you it's running. That only happened once. This is still happening. So now, bad boy back on the path, and he flicks back. That's great. So that works. I want now a reward for the end. So I'm going to duplicate this because again it's going to be very similar. Because I want it this time to touch the bone, and this time I'm going to just change that to well done. And if I want to, I can let it reset back, or I could take that out. So if I took this out, he would just stay down the bottom of the screen. But if you leave that in, he'll reset back to the beginning. Okay. So if I play this properly now, don't worry about that little white screen. This won't happen generally in the game. Now you can see that I made a mistake there. This is where you've got to play the game, possibly even with a child if you're making this for someone in your class. Is it too difficult? Is it too hard? And if I let go of the mouse, it stops moving all the way down to the bone. Well done, and then it flips back to the beginning, so you can have another go. Okay, and that's it. Simple as that. You can do some other things, put some sounds in, but the basics are right there.